Hi, you're right there. I had absolutely nothing to do all summer, so instead of going outside and frolicking like a normal person, I sat inside like a gremlin and watched every single Akira Kurosawa film, and I've decided to rank them for your viewing pleasure. I watched one of his films, and from then on, I was hooked. Now, there's a lot of films to cover, 32 to be exact, so let's not waste any more time and get right into it. This is a lost film, but from what I've read, it wasn't great. Now, someone should go on an epic treasure hunt and find this film so I can rate it. The Most Beautiful is a propaganda film made in 1944 that was supposed to motivate Japanese factory workers, but as I'm not a Japanese factory worker in World War II, I didn't really enjoy this one that much. To give it some praise, the actual story is alright and the performances are really good. I just couldn't really get into it because I got very easily distracted by the questionable things some of the characters were saying. If this was the first Kurosawa film I watched, and then you told me he would go on to make some of the best films of all time, I'd have told you to stop sniffing glue. 2 stars. Did someone order another propaganda film? No, I don't care, you're getting one anyway. Sanshiro Sagata Part 2 was made because the Japanese government thought the Japanese people would be motivated by a mediocre martial arts film. I'm afraid this didn't work on me. Watching this, you could tell Kurosawa didn't care in the slightest. The film follows this bloke called Sanshiro as he fights people. Absolutely riveting stuff. He beats up some American bloke and that's about it. 2.5 stars. Now, the more observant of you probably noticed this film's a part 2. Well, don't worry, we'll be talking about the first film in a second, but first... This is literally just a documentary about horses. It's an incredibly surface level look into the life of a horse, but it was made for children. I like that Kurosawa just liked horses so much, he made this just so he could hang out with the hoofed mammals a bit more. It's oddly relaxing though, 2.5 stars. This is Kurosawa's first film, and it's an alright martial arts film. This film actually had a large part of it cut by the Japanese government, so essentially they censored this first film and then begged him for a sequel. Nice one, guys. Despite a large part of it being cut, I was still able to squeeze some fun out of the film. The film follows Sanshiro as he becomes an epic judo master. The film builds up to him fighting Old Mate here, and there's a storyline about him throwing the fight so Old Mate can win. It's decent, 2.5 stars. I want to jump in quickly and introduce Toshiro Mifune and Takashi Shimura to you. In case you don't know them, they're some of the best actors of all time and they're both in a large part of Kurosawa's filmography. I just wanted to mention them as they'll be appearing a lot in this list. This film's about this bloke here who's in a love triangle with 2 women. I've got a few problems with this one. The runtime is far too long, and I've seen snails move faster than the pacing of this film. Masayuki Mori plays the lead character with very little energy, which makes sense for the character, but it really put me off. I've seen more interesting performances from a middle-aged mum in McDonald's when her food isn't made in 5 seconds. The one saving grace of this film is that Toshiro Mifune is in it, and he's getting up to his usual antics. 2.5 stars. But luckily, every film from this point on is pretty good. The film follows this nan, whose grandkids learn about their granddad who died in the bombing of Nagasaki. With a premise like that, I was really ready to like this film, but her grandkids are total dickheads. They're trying to get their nan to go to Hawaii just so they can tag along. You lot are annoying, you haven't earned a free holiday. The scenes in Nagasaki are easily the best part as they visit a monument and at the end of the film go to a memorial. The nan's nephew comes over from America to meet her and his scenes make the kids less annoying, which I didn't think was possible. 3 stars. Nan, get back here now! Whoa, calm down. I can already see you typing a mean comment and planning to throw a brick through my window. Please let me explain. Now, I know everybody loves this film, it's literally the 6th highest rated film on Letterboxd, but I just really struggled to get into it. However, when I did, this film really got me. The scene on the train in like the last hour are some of the best I've ever seen. I'm sure my opinion will change with a rewatch, but at the moment, I'm sticking it here on the list. Now, I would just like to apologise to the entire Letterboxd community for putting it here, 3.5 stars.
You gave high and low 3.5 stars.
This film follows this couple as they go on a date. Now that sounds a bit boring until you realise they are broke because they spent all their money in the local Ladbrokes, and this guy here is a miserable bastard who's allergic to having fun. They end up walking around for a bit, but every time they start to have fun, something goes wrong, and then the bloke has a bit of a moan and they continue on. Now, two scenes really stand out to me, and that's the coffee shop scene, which is just a nice watch, and the ending in an empty theatre. Chieko Nakakita puts on a really passionate performance, and I quite liked this film. 3.5 stars. Kurosawa wrote this film in a day and filmed it on one set, which is actually really impressive. I've also attempted to write a few short films like this back in college, and they turned out absolutely amazing.
Oh, are you okay? Help me! Are you okay?
The film is about a group of samurai sneaking past an enemy border. The best part of the film is easily the part where they get to the border. There's this massive argument which I got surprisingly into. I was actually really immersed in this film. There's also this little lad who's always a laugh when he's on screen. 3.5 stars.
Shut your fucking mouth!
In this film, Mifune is a surgeon who, while operating on a patient, cuts himself and gets syphilis. Unlucky mate, better luck next time. He then breaks up with his fiancée, and she spends the rest of the film trying to get him back. Now, this film is just absolutely miserable. There's no happy ending with Mifune refusing to take her back. It's a really good premise and Mifune delivers a really solid performance, but I just weirdly don't have a lot to say about this one. It's just a good film. 3.5 stars. Damn, this film's opening is good. It's a wedding scene where you're introduced to all the characters and the world's worst wedding cake. It's literally just a building.
Wedding cakeはまた来たね。変わってるな、あのケーキ。業者からの贈り物だろう。
While this cake may suck, it's very important to the story. I don't want to say why, as it'll give it away, but trust me, it's good. The use of music and all the shots instantly pull you in, and you're on a wild ride for the next 2 hours and 30 minutes. Believe it or not, Mifune and Shimura are really good in this. I just wish there was some more Shimura, because he's my boy, I love him. The only thing that spoiled this film for me was the ending. It was a bit sudden and not what I wanted to happen. I don't want to say too much about the story, as it'll give it away, but trust me, this film's good. 3.5 stars. In this film, Mifune drives a woman back to her hotel, and everyone's favourite kind of person, a paparazzi man, takes a photo of them and posts it in a magazine. Now, Mifune's not too happy about this, and he punches the head of the magazine, and they sue each other. Mifune then enlists the help of old mate Shimura, who's a lawyer. However, he turns out to be literally the worst lawyer of all time. Like, if you hired him to get you out of a speeding ticket, you'd leave the courtroom with 20 to 25 years, 12 points on your licence, and a 10 grand fine. He's got this kid who's dying, which I can't lie, got me way too invested in this film. Google said this film was a comedy, but damn, this part's pretty depressing. My favourite scene in this film is when Shimura is absolutely levered in the pub and gets everyone to sing along to that New Year's song that no one knows the words to. 3.5 stars. This film follows Mifune as he attempts to get his whole family to move to Brazil to avoid a nuclear apocalypse that he believes is coming. But believe it or not, no one wants to leave their lives to go live in a field. The entire film, Mifune is just busy being insane. Like, he's really good at that and it carries the movie. Also, this makeup's absolutely insane. I spent the first half of the film trying to figure out if it really was him. The family dynamic of the film is easily the best part, and I wish they spent more time with them instead of old man Mifune trying to get to Brazil. If they remade this film now, it would be about someone doom scrolling on TikTok. 4 stars. Now, thank God World War II ended when it did, so Kurosawa could stop making awful propaganda films and make ones that I actually want to watch. Now, this film is inspired by the Takigawa incident in 1933, with many characters based on real people. The film is set over many years and follows this girl who's in love with this fascist bloke and this guy. She picks the bloke who's not a fascist because she's not completely lost the plot, and after a great twist, goes to live with his parents and farm some rice. I really enjoyed this film. It was a breath of fresh air after his early films weren't the best, except You. I like You. The film does a great job making you care about all the characters, even the fascist bloke, which just makes that twist hit so much harder. This film got me really excited for the rest of his filmography. 4 stars. This film follows a few groups of people who live in a slum and how they interact with each other, but some of the people are far more interesting than others. The bloke and his son who live in the car and the girl who's forced to work by her alky dad really stand out to me. There's this lad who runs about thinking he's a train, he's a good laugh.
Train.
And then these 2 blokes who keep going to the pub and swapping wives and just not realising. I mean, are they blind? They're literally colour-coded. This is Kurosawa's first film in colour, and a lot of the scenes are really beautiful. I really like the train lad's house with all the drawings on the wall. I think Francis Bourgeois would really like this guy.
Thanks to be the most almighty screen.
This is the first film after Kurosawa stopped working with Mifune and Shimura, and I can't lie, I really miss them. I might make a little shrine in their memory. 4 stars. This is Kurosawa's only foreign language film. It's in Russian, but believe it or not, I also don't speak Russian, so we're keeping those subtitles on. This film is like if Kurosawa directed a video by the Outdoor Boys. It follows this Russian bloke who's like mapping out the forest when he meets this absolute legend called Dersu. He's just a guy who's been living in the forest, and he shows the Russian bloke and his crew around the forest. I was struggling to get into this film at the start, but after Dersu made a shelter out of grass, I was hooked. The film was pretty wholesome until the miserable ending. Dersu didn't deserve that. It's like if you make a new friend at the pub and have a great night with them, but right as you're about to leave, they hit you with a chair. 4 stars. Damn, this film's poster is so cool. I want to put it on my wall, it would really tie the room together. The film follows Mifune, who plays a member of the Yakuza, as he gets tuberculosis treatment from Dr. Shimura, who is a massive alcoholic. He could outdrink every one of the blokes who go in Wetherspoons at 9 AM. This is actually the first Kurosawa film to star Mifune. It's a great watch as you get a glimpse into what he's capable of. It's nice to see the 2 characters become closer over the film, even if it doesn't end like I want it to again. I seriously think Kurosawa's allergic to a happy ending. 4 stars. This film takes place in a small shack filled with a bunch of poor people. The film follows them over a few days when this bloke comes in and starts dropping some really sage advice and giving them hope, but then Mifune kills someone and scares him off, and then everyone goes back to being sad. Damn it, Mifune, I wanted a happy ending for once. I really liked it when everyone started singing and dancing for some reason. You just sat there thinking, this is alright, and then this guy starts singing and it's the most beautiful sound I've ever heard. The film takes a while to get going, so it spends a lot of time with all the characters, really makes you feel like you live in the shack with them, which I would hate to do because they sing every day while I'm trying to sleep. 4 stars. I think this is easily Kurosawa's best noir film. In it, Mifune is a detective, and while riding the bus through Croydon town centre, has his gun nicked. The guy who nicked it then starts killing people with it, so he gets old mate Shimura to help track him down. This film is so sweaty, it genuinely makes you uncomfortable, like, why is it so wet? Now, unlike a bunch of the previous films, the ending actually went the way I wanted to. It's rare Kurosawa does an ending that doesn't make me so miserable. This is such a solid crime film, that's all I've got to say. Go watch it. 4 stars. This is a sequel to a film later on the list.
Yojimbo.
So if you want more fun samurai action, this is the film for you. In this film, Mifune helps some samurai expose corruption within their clan. I don't know why, but it's really funny, like everyone's just having a conversation, and then Mifune's just posted up in the back of the shot sleeping. He does not care what you've got to say, mate. Shush your noise. And then the next scene will literally just be the coolest thing you've ever seen. And speaking of the coolest thing you've ever seen, the final duel is so sick. I do think the original's slightly better, but this is easily one of the best sequels of all time. 4 stars. How can Kurosawa make a film look this good? With most of his films being in black and white, these ones in colour really stand out. I would put any frame of this movie on my wall and it would make me look like a massive art snob. This film is about this peasant bloke who has to impersonate a samurai warlord after he dies. He then has to go to war and act like he knows what he's doing. It's great. The opening scene really stands out because it's literally just a 5-minute long take that sets the whole movie up. These battle scenes are also incredible and get me really excited for another film on the list. Also, I'm contractually obligated to mention this scene. It looks nice. 4 stars. I feel like if I was in a Kurosawa film, I'd be one of these guys, just running about thinking you're the coolest and then suddenly everything just goes wrong for you. The Hidden Fortress follows these 2 peasants who try to get rich and meet Mifune and this woman who turn out to be a general and a princess. The 2 peasant lads are pretty funny, and I always like when Kurosawa does a bit of comedy in his films. And also Mifune's here being a badass as usual. Google says this film inspired Star Wars, which yeah, I can see the similarities, but Star Wars is better because it has Darth Maul. 4 stars. This film's a standout in Kurosawa's filmography to me, as instead of being one story, it's a collection of little stories that Kurosawa had dreamt. I wish my dreams were really visually interesting with loads of different themes. If Kurosawa made a film about my dreams, there'd be a 40-minute section of me at work where I RKO a random customer and hide in the stockroom, and a bit where I'm in Far Cry 3. The first story is weirdly creepy, because what the hell even are those in the woods? This one's weird. The blizzard is probably the weakest one. Just didn't like this one. Maybe it's just too much snow going on, like I don't need it to be that cold. The tunnel is pretty crazy, made me wish I lived near a tunnel just so I could walk through it. I think it'd be fun. Crows is easily the best because my goat Martin Scorsese's here. It's the only reason it's good.
You appear to be injured.
What have I done?
Now the next 2 are absolutely miserable and are about nuclear fallout. They look insane, but it just makes you wish you were still watching the Martin Scorsese part so you weren't depressed. And finally, there's Village in the Watermills, which follows this bloke talking to an old man in a village. It's so relaxing and makes you forget how terrifying the last 2 stories were. It's genuinely really nice. While not all of the parts are equal quality, I'm looking at you, Blizzard, the film's really interesting and definitely worth a watch just to see the sets. 4 stars. This film's so wholesome. It follows this bloke who retires as a teacher over many years as his former students visit him. It's so uplifting. You just watch an old mate live his life and overcome all his problems. The students throw him a yearly party, which looks like the ultimate night out. I would kill to have a beer with them. Now, all's going well in this film. Mate's got a new house and a cat, but then near the end of the film, the cat leaves for literally no reason, and suddenly I was really wrapped up in whether this guy's cat was coming back. If I see this cat, I will give it a swift right hook just for the pain it caused old mate. This film even has a happy ending, which is one of the things I wanted from a Kurosawa film. Madadeo was Kurosawa's last film. He died 4 years later. While I don't think this film is as great as a lot of his earlier films, is a nice way to end his filmography. 4.5 stars. This film made me really sad because it was the last Kurosawa film to feature both Toshiro Mifune and Takashi Shimura. These 2 are so important to the Kurosawa filmography. Not having them in the other films genuinely feels really weird. I miss you, Shimura. You're my boy. This film follows this young doctor as he starts working in a rural clinic under the guidance of Redbeard. His beard's not even red, it's grey. This guy's a bit of a dickhead at the start of the film, but after working with the townspeople, he becomes not a dickhead. I really like the part about this dying man who tells the story of how he fell in love with his wife but accidentally killed her. While rescuing this girl later in the film, Greybeard has a cool scene where he demolishes a gang because they thought he was just a doctor. Little did they know he's actually the GOAT, Toshiro Mifune, and nothing gets in his way. This girl has such a great story of her making this bloke not a dickhead and her helping this broke kid, which sets up the final parts of the film. A really great film, but when it was over, I just felt sad as I'd never see Mifune or Shimura work with Kurosawa again. 4.5 stars. This film is literally just a fistful of dollars but with samurai. Sergio Leone really thought no one would notice if he remade this. Now I love a fistful of dollars, but somehow this is even better. The film follows Mifune as he works for 2 rival businessmen and starts a gang war between them. My favourite part of the film is this bloke here who has a gun and just randomly shoots things for no reason.
It's happening.
Where did you get that from, big man? It seems a bit unfair to everyone else. I don't know if he's meant to be funny or not, but I thought he was. And that final showdown was awesome as well. I love a good samurai fight. 4.5 stars. I just love samurai films. This film follows Mifune, who plays a general, and while travelling through a forest, meets a spooky ghost who says he will not lose a fight until the forest attacks his castle. This film is an adaptation of Macbeth, and if I'm honest, is 1,000 times better. I think Shakespeare went wrong by not using Toshiro Mifune, this creepy spirit, and an amazing ending with a lot of arrows. The pacing of this film is genuinely insane. It flies through its runtime, and when it's over makes you wonder how an hour and 50 minutes has just passed. I also found it in the World Cinema section of a CEX. It was next to 2 copies of Sanjuro and Halloween Resurrection, my favourite foreign film. 4.5 stars. This is the film that inspired this video. It was the 5th Kurosawa film I saw. I just got back from the pub and stuck it on. While most people have a kebab and go to bed after the pub, I watched a Japanese film from the 50s. The film follows 3 blokes as they talk about the trial of a bandit who murdered a man and did things with his wife. But each person tells a different version of what happened. You get so pulled into it because you're also trying to figure out what really happened with the characters. Mifune plays the bandit, and I don't know what he was on. He may have sniffed a Sharpie or something, but he's going mental in this film. Easily one of my favourite performances by him. He's jumping all over the place the whole time. I couldn't be doing any of that. My knees would give out after the first take. Also, the rain looked really nice. 4.5 stars. You know guys, 3 or 4 samurai won't be enough. We'll need at least. In this film, a village hires 7 samurai to defend their village from bandits. It's such a simple concept, and yet it's easily one of the best films I've ever seen. That 3.5 hour runtime put me off for so long, but when I finally watched it, that runtime is completely justified. There's not a wasted second in this film. Being honest, the only thing I would change is I would have added an 8th samurai. Now, just like Rashomon, Mifune is playing an insane bloke, and I think we can all agree this is his best role. While looking at this film on Google, I couldn't escape this one shot of Mifune. I see it when I close my eyes. This is such a great character film. If someone died in this, I genuinely felt like I lost a friend. 5 stars. I feel like I could just show you this one shot and you'd understand why Ran is this high on the list. Just like Cage Musha, I could take any frame from this film and put it on my wall. The film follows this old warlord who gives his empire to his sons, but they quickly become corrupted by this power. The makeup on Old Mate is insane because he starts off looking quite normal, but the film ends with him looking like a nutsack. Now, if you thought the Battle of Helm's Deep was cool, just wait until you see the last 40 minutes of this film. It's insane. Now, this was the first Kurosawa film I saw, and originally I didn't think much of it. I thought it was a bit boring and I couldn't really get into it. But then I watched every one of his films and put this one on last, and I completely got it. It feels like all of Kurosawa's filmography was building up to this film, and I absolutely loved it. 5 stars. That would have been my favourite Kurosawa film if it wasn't for this next one. Akira is my favourite Kurosawa film. In it, Shimura plays a man who's been working in a city council for nearly 30 years, and he learns he has terminal cancer. He briefly stops showing up to work in an attempt to experience life, but he finds meaning by building a small playground. You know, it's such a simple film, but such a beautiful one at the same time. Shimura gives it his all the entire film, and every time he's on screen, you feel sad, but also hope that he can just find some meaning in his life. Easily his best role. One of the final shots of the film is him in the playground singing his favourite song, and it's absolutely brutal. The film really makes you want to do something with your life, but then you remember you're just a poor uni student. This film's life-changing and I just can't recommend it enough. Go give it a watch. 5 stars. And that brings us to the end of the video. It sure was a long one. After watching all of these films, I've actually just fallen in love with Akira Kurosawa's filmography. They are easily some of the best films I've ever seen and have given me much more of an appreciation for film. Now, I know it's been a while since my last upload, but I'm hoping to slowly make some more videos. I've got a good list of ideas that I'm excited to start working on, so if you've made it this far in the video and want to see more, drop me a subscribe. I'll even give you a crisp high five for it. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye.